Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. With me is Abhishek, founder of iBanker.vc. Hey, Abhishek, thanks a lot for joining us at Business Banao.
Thank you. Thanks, Nikhil.
So
Thank you for
this is a
inviting me.
very this is a very short, interesting interview which I have for you guys here. Abhishek is someone who has had 11 plus years of experience working for some of the top CFOs of the world. Plus, he is one of the premier financial and finance strategy consultants, where lots of startups, lot of companies go to him to figure out their valuations, to figure out their financial strategy. So, Abhishek, we have you here today to discuss Whitehat Jr. and why Whitehat Jr. got acquired for $300 million. So, can you just take us through Whitehat Jr., how it works, and what was the business model exactly?
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, I mean, White Hat Jr. is actually one of the rare, luminaries, and the good part is that it has been acquired by another Indian unicorn, right? So even the acquirer is an Indian part. Uh,
Correct.
and you are right that the numbers are pretty impressive in terms of when you look at the value that BYJUs paid, which
Mm-hmm,
is $300 million.
mm-hmm,
And so let us just if we focus on Whitehat Jr. For a
mm-hmm.
minute. So 18 months back, it had its valuation for 6 million. At that
Okay.
time, its revenue was 21 lakh, and its expense was 2.8 crore, meaning it was at a loss of 2.6 crores. But
Wow.
something changed at the start of this year. So
Okay.
they changed or they tweaked their business model, uh, and they turned profitable. Now, how did they do that? So one is that they already had a lot of users. They developed courses and they became unit profitable. So, and then in terms of the number of teachers, the way they were different from BYJU's is that they had partners and contractors who were mostly engineering students, and I think most of them are exclusively female.
Okay.
So their profitability had been very high, and
Okay.
their net promoter score has actually been very high even from BYJU's.
Wow.
So now
So I mean,
they
how would they make money? Like they would just sell a course and someone would buy. Was that it? I mean, what was the whole business model?
Yeah, so they started selling coding classes,
Okay.
and their coding class were actually so one class would be like five different one course would be five classes, another course is somewhere around 40 classes, and there's a third course, and in each of them they would take students to develop an app, either through code.org and other sites, and these are 1:1 teacher student model, so it is not exactly like BYJU's offline one to many, but it is a one-to-one where the students are also being assessed by the teachers.
Okay.
And uh, and so I was just looking at the net economics. So while White Hat used to charge somewhere around 500 to 600 rupees for one class, they used to pay the teachers. I don't know what the recent figures are, but they pay around 250 odd. So their net margin or the gross margin is somewhere around 250 per class.
Wow.
And most of these teachers are actually contractors.
Mm-hmm.
So the way and now White Hat actually did three things which were very different from what BYJU's is doing.
Okay.
BYJU's is number one. BYJU's has not been able to crack the code of US. So even though it has tried to enter the US market, it has not been able to. Whereas White Hat actually cracked, and it has a good presence. Actually, 55% of its revenue
Mm-hmm.
only come from US. Yeah, so
Okay.
more than 50% of the revenues of White Hat come from US. Their gross margin
Mm-hmm.
in the US is high.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, in India, if you see, White Hat is present in the tier 2 and 3 cities. So around
Okay.
65% of the users of White Hat are
Mm-hmm.
not coming from the top 15 Indian cities. They are coming
Okay.
from, cities which are not in the, what you can say is the middle of the pyramid. And third part is that Baiju still has to learn, and where it can learn from the business model of White Hat is is the unit economics that we spoke about. So not
Okay.
having its presence in the US,
Mm-hmm.
complementary presence in India, and then
Mm-hmm.
the third part is that the fact that White Hat is actually unit positive, so
Mm-hmm.
and catering to the top 15 cities, which is the middle of the pyramid segment. So all of
Mm-hmm.
this made it like a complementary a complementary company. Also the fact that Byju's had earlier started providing coding classes, but it was not very
Mm-hmm.
successful there. So
Oh.
Byju's most popular courses were actually those test courses and so on. So
So
yeah,
what
in a
about
nutshell,
this?
when you look at,
Yeah, yeah. Please continue. In a nutshell.
yeah, I mean, if you only look at White Hat, it had all the things that Byju's was, trying to be in terms of
Okay.
unit economics, in terms of, where the customers are in India and even in the US. So that made it a very good complementary addition to Byju's. Now, yeah, so
Was
if
so my next question
why
is this,
Byju's?
right? Was the price justified? I mean, $300 million for a company which is like less than 2 years old. Was the price justified?
Right. So price is something that, if the value is justified, if the value that Byju's is getting out of it is
Mm-hmm.
justified, then the price is fine. So,
Okay.
see, Byju's has been a master in fundraising.
Okay.
They are a unicorn. Uh, if you think about it, White Hat has around 3 million, I think, was the number of students,
Wow.
out of which 3 million students all time, because at any given point these courses are only a month long or a 3 month
Of
long
course.
and
Of
all.
course.
So
Yeah.
at any given point they have 20,000 students enrolled, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe more, 20,000 classes. But uh, if you look at the 3 million additional students that Byju's is getting, uh, and they are getting a niche segment or a niche market of coding, and also the fact that it is getting entry into the market space of US and those customers in India. The incremental value that Byju's would receive from its own valuation. I don't know what is the current valuation, but it can easily increase Byju's own valuation by 1 billion. So the journey
Wow. Are you
for Byju,
serious?
right? Yeah. So the journey for
Wow.
Byju's to move from 1 billion to 2 billion is
Mm-hmm.
very easy once it has acquired
A
White
company
Hat.
like Whitehat.
Right.
Okay.
And this has been Byju's strategy as well, so it is called a string of pearl strategy. So in the past, Byju's acquired the Disney app and Osmo. Then it also acquired homework support for classes, which is called Doubtnut. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the exact price that it paid for it, but
Mm-hmm.
if you see, Byju's has a strong chestnut of cash,
Mm-hmm.
and it is trying to pick up those niche segment owners in in terms of codes, in terms of homework prep, and so on. And this all of this is going to increase its own valuation. So then the 300 million is a small price to pay,
Mm-hmm.
to increase your own valuation from 1 to 2 billion.
Absolutely. I mean, if that's the case, I you would say that's actually a decent business decision.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like it's not
So
as it's not as crazy as it's being made out to be.
Right, right, exactly. Uh, and also a part of so the Indian government had come up with the national education plan.
Mhm.
Uh, so those tailwinds also help BYJUs, where now the part that this computational programming has to be a mandatory part of students' curriculum.
Understood.
So people have increasingly, getting
Into coding and all that. Yep.
right. Yeah. So I
Superb.
think
I
that
mean,
is
I think that was a pretty detailed analysis of the thought process behind the decision making. I
yeah.
want to ask you this also before I let you go. Uh, did White Hat sell too early?
See, no, it's a good question. I think so. White Hat and Karan Bajaj. So, from what I know, they were already looking to raise funds since April, and
Okay.
I was trying to see, the very first question that you asked, that is it justified?
Hmm.
BYJU's, how much they are paying to get the value, that is justified.
Hmm.
But the sole, if you look at White Hat's annual revenue rate, which is around 150 million, so their net value was two times its annual revenue rate, right? So
That's
100.
actually that's actually a bit low, right? If you think about it.
Yeah, I think it's decent. 2x the revenue is decent. They were growing 30 to 35% month on month for the past 12
Hmm.
months. And then they were 6 months profitable. So that
Wow.
way, I think, the unit economics was in place. They were growing. So they were ticking all the boxes. Uh, I think if they sold too early is also one of the things that White Hat gains by this is, now they can go global, and also Karan is still in the team of BYJUs. So basically, they are going to develop this as a full. I think BYJUs is going to invest another 30 million to make
Wow.
it like a full coding platform. So this
Wow.
is something that White Hat would gain by BYJU's expertise, and that is why they, even though it was early, I think it was a complementary fit even for White Hat.
Interesting. That's a very nice way to think about it. Great. I mean, this was pretty in depth. I guess that's the right way to look at this acquisition from White Hat's perspective and from Baiju's perspective. So,
Yeah,
guys, if you feel it was crazy, it's actually not that crazy when you look at the numbers. So, thank you
yeah.
very much, Abhishek, for this. Don't forget to check out Abhishek's company, ibanker.vc. It's an automated valuation platform. I urge you to check it out. It's really incredible. And you can follow Abhishek on Substack, a newsletter which he writes. Uh, I have linked it in the description below. Thanks a lot, guys. See you in our next video.